part one. All right, chat. Just a little introduction. Just a little introduction, man. Just a little introduction. I've read a lot of books in my lifetime, right? And this right here is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. Easy read, short read, great for financial literacy, spirituality, psychology. It taps into them all. You know, this book ain't just simply invest into this stock. It ain't just simply that. It works on you from the inside out. You know, and if you come from a less than wealthy upbringing, this is a very important book because you will get in your own way when it comes to making money, maintaining the money you make, and then going against your environment. This book was super important for me because I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't grow up seeing wealth or being shared the mentality of wealth, financially or spiritually. You know, I mean, spiritually, I would say yes. My family is very, has a strong relationship with God and things like that. So I'll take back that last statement. But I didn't grow up with the perfect ideal identity where wealth for me was a layup. Wealth for me was not a layup. It was a Hail Mary from the other side of the court with 1 second on the clock if I got lucky to inbound the ball and catch it fast enough. You know, so at the bottom line, this book was really one of those helpful books because it helped me change my whole mentality, perception, and awareness of myself, money, wealth, how to go about it, how to attack the world, how to attack my life. Let's start into it. Part one, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, right? Your Money Blueprint. Part one is called Your Money Blueprint. You know what I might be able to do? And I did this when I was reading books on stream before. I might be able to look up the book and put like the PDF on the screen so I could read the page I'm reading. Oh yeah, I can. This shit looks bony as hell though. Hold on, chat. I'm about to cook. All right, it's not gonna get you copyrighted, right? It didn't last time. I put the Art of Seduction online on YouTube. That series got multiple hundreds of thousands of views. This ain't my first rodeo, man. Let me do it like this. Find out where I want to sit. Where do my camera focus, right? Let me do this. Yeah, this is not my first rodeo, Brody. I did a couple books I read. I think Art of Seduction was the main series I put on YouTube though. All right, now I know I gotta zoom in because that shit looked terrible. Does that work? Oh yeah, it does work. Y'all see that, chat? Or can I zoom out one more? Because you can't see the full page. Is that easy to read? Like, is that easy to see type shit? Is that easy to see type shit? Type shit. I zoomed out. I just zoomed out one more. So did y'all see the updated one? Why is it in black and white though? Is that my dark mode? Would y'all prefer white on black or black on white? This is white on black right here. This is a fucking flashbang. My God. I think white on black made it easier though. Dark. Moz, can y'all run a poll before we start? This is actually important. A 30-second poll. Make it a quick one. And chat, vote on the poll. I'm doing a popular vote. It's bright as fuck, but I think it's easier to read, like from a distance. Are my mods taking a shit? Like, what's going on? Let me see. Oh! As soon as I hit start poll. Oh yeah, vote on that poll, chat. Vote on that poll. I think I accidentally ended it. Try it again. Try it again. White or black? No, and again, this is white. Try it again, Maj. Try it again. As soon as I hit start, the button turned to end. That time it was crazy. So this is black on white, right? Black background, white letters. This is white. White background, black letters. So it's about to be a poll in the chat. Mods, can y'all try it one more time? I fucked up. I just ended it. All right, chat, vote. It will be based on the popular vote. Again, this isn't for me. This is directly for y'all. It looks like black is winning by a long shot. So y'all like this black version. Bro, it might be my eyes. I mean, it's readable. It's readable. Y'all voted for it, y'all got it. Y'all got it, man. All right, I'm gonna move my camera, move the chat. All this shit on my screen. I look crazy. Yo, chat. All right, we back. We back. Y'all ready? Just zoom in a little. No, because if I zoom in a little, you're not gonna be able to see the full page, and I'm gonna have to keep scrolling. I'd rather read the book out of my hand, but let me just read it. Let me just read it like this. Fuck it. I'm gonna just read it like this. Fuck it. That's the solution. Because now I could just scroll at the same time. You know what? That might be it. That might be the solution. I just did my intro. I just did it. I'm not even recording a YouTube video. I'm just doing this on stream. If I make this a main channel video, I would actually write a script. I'm just literally doing a read through. So if a plug channel steals this, make sure you include what I was talking about 5 minutes ago when I was introducing the book and how helpful this was for me in my financial journey. The timing of this book couldn't have been better. I want to say I read this book in like 2020 during quarantine, the summer of 2020, and I ended up blowing up the summer of 2021. So it came about a year before I was successful in content creation, and I ended up making over $1 million. And I'm in a position where this is one of the most helpful books I've ever read in my life. And we're gonna read it fully, beginning to end, on stream. It's a readathon. I'm not in the stream or going to sleep. It's like no. But we're getting into it, stream by stream. This is part 1. So, your money blueprint. We live in a world of duality, up and down, light and dark, hot and cold, in and out, fast and slow, right and left. These are but a few examples of the thousands of opposite poles. For one pole to exist, the other pole must also exist. Is it possible to have a right side without a left side? Not a chance. Consequently, just as there are outer laws of money, there must be inner laws. The outer laws include things like business knowledge, money management, and investment strategies. These are essential, but the inner game is just as important. An analogy would be a carpenter and his tools. Having top-of-the-line tools is imperative, but being the top-notch carpenter who masterfully uses those tools is even more critical. I have a saying. In chat, y'all know this is one of my favorite quotes. I love this quote. It's not enough to be in the right place at the right time. That's luck. You have to be the right person at the right place at the right time. If you get lucky by being in the right place at the right time, you won't maintain whatever success or experience you have. But if you're the right person at the right place at the right time, you'll make the right decisions. So who are you? How do you think? What are your beliefs? What are your habits and traits? How do you really feel about yourself? How confident are you in yourself? How well do you relate to others? How much do you trust others? Do you truly feel that you deserve wealth? What is your ability to act in spite of fear, in spite of worry, in spite of inconvenience, in spite of discomfort? Can you act when you're not in the mood? The fact is that your character, your thinking, your beliefs are a crucial part of what determines the level of your success. One of my favorite authors, Stuart Wilde, puts it this way. The key to success is to raise your own energy. When you do, people will naturally be attracted to you. And when they show up, bill them. Text their ass. Yesterday's price is not today's price. You feel me? Wealth principle. Your income can grow only to the extent you do. Now, catch this. I'm going to give you a little spoiler here. The first half of the book is like the mental side. The second half gets into the actual principles. They go over wealth files. Ironically, I just skipped to wealth file number 1. Each of these wealth files will have statements like this one. Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me. Let me go to another wealth file. I have a couple favorites. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game to not lose. We go to another. Hopefully, I run into one of my favorite ones. Wealth file number 6. Rich people. No, that's not one I like. I'm trying to find the one I like. No. Because the wealth files is where shit really gets gritty. The beginning of the book is great, though. The beginning of the book is really good. It lays the foundation down. What's one of my favorite joints? This was one that really helped me a lot, or changed my life. This whole chapter. Wealth file number 12. Rich people think both. Poor people think either or. I'm telling you, when we get to that chapter, bro, that's gonna be a deep one, bro. That's gonna be a deep one. Because it even goes into the mentality of why you've been taught to make yourself choose. And why that's unhealthy. All right. Okay, now let's go. Where were we? Do you truly feel that you deserve wealth? What is your ability to act inspired? Okay, we read that part. Blah, blah, blah. We read that part. Wealth principle. Your income can grow only to the extent you do. Why is your money blueprint important? Have you heard of people who have blown up financially? Have you noticed how some people have a lot of money and then lose it, or have excellent opportunities, start well, but then go sour on them? Now you know the real cause. On the outside, it looks like bad luck, a downturn in the economy, a lousy partner, whatever. On the inside, however, it's another matter. That's why if you come into big money when you're not ready for it on the inside, the chances are your wealth will be short-lived and you will lose it. The vast majority of people simply do not have the internal capacity to create and hold on to large amounts of money and the increased challenges that go with more money and success. And again, that's the whole example of somebody wins the lottery, right? They never tend to keep it unless they are mentally prepared for having that much money and what they'll plan to do. And this is the hard part. Sometimes you don't even know you're not ready. Now, a perfect example is lottery winners. Oh, here it goes. Ironically, I didn't even read that next sentence. Research has shown again and again that regardless of the size of their winnings, most lottery winners eventually return to their original financial state, the amount they can comfortably handle. The amount, I'm going to emphasize a couple words here. The amount they can comfortably handle. Because again, you win a lottery for $1 million. Somebody who's been managing $1 million or multiple millions for 20 years now. So it's uncomfortable for you to handle, and then somebody else lives in this lifestyle perfectly. Donald Trump is an example. On the other hand, the opposite occurs for self-made millionaires. Notice that when self-made millionaires lose their money, they usually have it back within a relatively short time. Donald Trump is a good example. Trump was worth billions, lost everything, and then a couple of years later got it all back and more. Why does this phenomenon occur? Because even though some self-made millionaires may lose their money, they never lose the most important ingredient to their success, their millionaire mind. Of course, in the Donald's case, it's his billionaire mind. Do you realize Donald Trump could never be just a millionaire? If Donald Trump had a net worth of only $1 million, how do you think he'd feel about his financial success? Most people would agree that he'd probably feel broke, like a financial failure. That's because Donald Trump's financial thermostat is set for billions, not millions. Most people's financial thermostats are set for generating thousands, not millions of dollars. Some people's financial thermostats are set for generating hundreds, not even thousands. And some people's financial thermostats are set for below zero. They're freaking freezing and they don't even have a clue as to why. I can't remember if it was this book, and I'm spoiling it, or it was another book, but I read about how Donald Trump wouldn't even let news articles write millionaire next to his name. Even before he was worth $1 billion. He would never let them call him a millionaire. Even when he wasn't a billionaire. He would never let them write it in there. He would always tell them to refer. This might be this book. The reality is that most people do not reach their full potential. Most people are not successful. Research shows that 80% of individuals will never be financially free in the way they'd like to be. And 80% will never claim to be truly happy. The reason is simple. Most people are unconscious. They are a little asleep at the wheel. They work and think on a superficial level of life based only on what they can see. They live strictly in the visible world. And we're on to the next segment. The roots create the fruits. The roots create the fruits. So I'm going to take a breather, chat. Imagine a tree. Let's suppose this tree represents the tree of life. On this tree, there are fruits. In life, our fruits are called our results. So we look at the fruits, our results, and we don't like them. There aren't enough of them. They're too small, or they don't taste good. So what do we tend to do? Most of us put even more attention and focus on the fruits, our results. But what is it that actually creates those particular fruits? It's the seeds and the roots that create those fruits. It's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. It's what's invisible and that creates what's visible. So what does that mean? It means that if you want to change the fruits, you will have to first change the roots. If you want to change the visible, you must first change the invisible. And then he highlights it again, wealth principle. He basically quoted himself. Of course, some say that seeing is believing. The question I have for such people is, why do you bother paying your electricity bill? Although you cannot see electricity, you could certainly recognize and use its power. If you have any doubt as to whether it exists, just stick your finger in an electric socket, and I guarantee that your doubts will quickly disappear. In my experience, what you cannot see in the world is far more powerful than anything you can see. You may or may not agree with this statement, but to the extent that you do not apply this principle in your life, you must be suffering. Why? Because you are going against the laws of nature, whereby what is under the ground creates what is above the ground, where what is invisible creates what is visible. As humans, we are a part of nature, not above it. Consequently, when we align with the laws of nature and work on our roots, our inner world, our life flows smoothly. When we don't, life gets rough. In every forest, on every farm, in every orchard or orchard on earth, it's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. That's why placing your attention on the fruits that you have already grown is futile. For example, chat, complaining about your life, I don't like this result, this result, this result. You can never change the fruits by going to the fruits. You got to go to the roots. You cannot change the fruits that are already hanging on the tree. You can, however, change tomorrow's fruits. But to do so, you have to dig below the ground and strengthen the roots. The 4 quadrants. We're moving on, chat. I'm going to try to find a balance between like reading chat or looking at questions and continuing to read along. But mind you, chat, this is like an introductory chapter. We ain't even got into the nitty gritty. We ain't even got into the details yet. This is just like a call out. This is the beginning. You feel me? The 4 quadrants. One of the most important things you can ever understand is that we do not only live on one plane of existence. We live in at least 4 different realms at once. Those 4 quadrants are the physical world, the mental world, the emotional world, and the spiritual world. What most people never realize is that the physical realm is merely a printout of the other 3. Let me say that one more time, chat. What most people never realize is that the physical realm is merely a printout of the other 3. I'll let that marinate. For example, let's suppose you've just written a letter on your computer. You hit the print key and the letter comes out of your printer. You look at your hard copy and lo and behold, you find a typo. So you take out your trusty eraser and rub out the typo. Then you hit print again and out comes the same typo. Oh my gosh, how could this be? You just erased it. So this time you get a bigger eraser and rub it even harder and even longer. Pause. You even study a 300-page manual called Effective Erasing. Now you got all the tools and knowledge you need. You're ready. You hit print and there it is again. No way. You cry out, stunned in amazement. How could this be? What's going on here? Am I in the Twilight Zone? What's going on here is the real problem cannot be changed in the printout, the physical world. It can only be changed in the program. Google Docs, Microsoft Word, stuff like that. It can only be changed in the program. The mental, emotional, and spiritual worlds. Money is a result. Wealth is a result. Health is a result. Illness is a result. Your weight is a result. We live in a world of cause and effect. Have you ever heard someone assert that a lack of money was a bit of a problem? Never heard this. A lack of money is never, ever, ever a problem. A lack of money is merely a symptom of what's going on underneath. Lack of money is the effect, but what is the root cause? It boils down to this. The only way to change your outer world is to first change your inner world. Whatever results you're getting, be they rich or poor, good or bad, positive or negative, always remember that your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. If things aren't going well in your outer life, it's because things are going well in your inner life. It's that simple. Next one, declarations. Go back to the chat. Would be a breakdown of you and your woman's. I mean, I could put that stuff on YouTube if y'all really asking for it. The crow and blah blah blah. You need to synchronize all three planes of existence in life to flow smoothly. All right, let's keep going. I'm not seeing any crazy questions. Declarations, a powerful secret for change. In my seminars, we use accelerated learning techniques and allow you to learn faster and remember more of what you learn. The key is involvement. Our approach follows from the old saying, what you hear, you forget, what you see, you remember, what you do, you understand. So I'm going to ask that every time you reach the end of a major principle in the book, you first put your hand on your heart and then make a verbal declaration. And then touch your head with your index finger and make another verbal declaration. What's a declaration? It's simply a positive statement that you make emphatically out loud. Why are declarations such a valuable tool? Because everything is made of one thing, energy. All energy travels in frequencies and vibrations. Therefore, each declaration you make carries its own vibrational frequency. When you state a declaration out loud, its energy vibrates throughout the cells of your body. And by touching your body at the same time, you can feel its unique resonance. Declarations not only can send a specific message to the universe, they also send a powerful message to your subconscious mind. The difference between a declaration and an affirmation is slight, but in my mind, powerful. The definition of an affirmation is a positive statement asserting that a goal you wish to achieve is already happening. The definition of a declaration is to state an official intention to undertake a particular course of action or adopt a particular status. An affirmation states that a goal is already happening. I'm not crazy about this because often we affirm something that is not yet real. The little voice in our head usually responds with, "This isn't true, this is bullshit." On the other hand, a declaration is not saying something is true. It's stating that we have an intention of doing or being something. This is a position the little voice can buy because we're not stating what it's true right now, but again, it's an intention for us in the future. A declaration, this is like the second book I've seen say affirmations are terrible. Another word in the first book on that, I think, was the mountain of you. The mountain of you. And I think the point that was made about affirmations in that book was that oftentimes it requires people to neglect reality and not see things for what they are and deal with the reality and make the best decisions you can make. So a declaration by definition is also official. It is a formal statement of energy into the universe and throughout your body. Another word from the definition is important. Action. You must take all the actions necessary to make your intention a reality. I recommend that you state your declarations aloud each morning and each evening. Doing your declarations while looking into a mirror will accelerate the process even more. Now I have to admit that when I first heard of all this, I said, no way, this declaration stuff is far too hokey for me. This nigga's lingo is funny. He said hokey. My words, I lost my spot. Hokey for me. But because I was broke at the time, I decided, what the heck, it can't hurt. And started doing them. Now I'm rich. So it shouldn't come as a big surprise that I believe that declarations really work. You know, it's funny, I remember reading this book and doing everything exactly as it said, chat. No lie. Because I remember there's even ends where you like have to write or do something. I forget. I think it makes you write like all types of shit. Like this book like actually will make you do shit. And like I said, ironically, I read this book a year before I blew up, or around a year. Either way, I'd rather be really hokey and really rich than really cool and really broke. Emphasis on that really cool. How oftentimes people will try to judge you and say this is corny, this is lame, that's weird, but not understanding the actual effects and actual results that your behavior leads to. You gotta be comfortable being misunderstood if you're already trying to separate yourself and you're already trying to do better for yourself. How about you? That said, I invite you to place your hand on your heart and repeat the following. Oh, no, I thought he was gonna say the head part first. All right, chat. Come on, chat. My inner world creates my outer world. Now touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. As a special bonus, if you go to, promo of doom. Say nothing. All right. Now, what is your money blueprint? How is it formed? Whether I'm appearing on radio or television, I'm well known for making, let me stop. What is your money blueprint and how is it formed? We're on to the next segment. Whether I'm appearing on radio or television, I'm well known for making the following statement. Give me 5 minutes and I can predict your financial future for the rest of your life. How? In a short conversation, I can identify which call your money and success blueprint. Each of us has a personal money and success blueprint already embedded in our subconscious mind. And this blueprint, more than anything and everything else combined, will determine your financial destiny. So chat, it's time. We're about to really start cooking. The first little couple pages was a little warm up. It's time to really start cooking, bro. What is a money blueprint? As an analogy, let's consider the blueprint for a house, which is a preset plan or design for that particular home. In the same way, your money blueprint is simply your preset program or way of being in relation to money. I want to introduce you to an extremely important formula. It determines how you create your reality and wealth. Many of the most respected teachers in the field of human potential have used this formula as a foundation for their teachings called the process of a manifestation. It goes like this. Thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, actions lead to results. Your financial blueprint consists of a combination of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in the arena of money. So how is your money blueprint formed? The answer is simple. Your financial blueprint consists primarily of the information or programming you received in the past, and especially as a young child. Who are the primary sources of this programming or conditioning? For most people, the lists include parents, siblings, friends, authority figures, teachers, religious leaders, media, and your culture, to name a few. Let's take culture. Isn't it true that certain cultures have one way of thinking and dealing with money, while other cultures have a different approach? Do you think a child comes out of the womb with his or her attitudes towards money? Or do you believe the child is taught how to deal with money? That's right. Every child is taught how to think about and act in relation to money. For me personally, this hit me because I remember hearing certain sayings growing up surrounding financial struggles. If it ain't one thing, it's another. I can't catch a break. What else? Money is the root of all evil. You know, this overall idea and belief that if somebody has a lot of money or abundance, there must be something wrong with them, or they're greedy, or they're stole, or they did something bad for it. And that's an example of this. The same holds, or money makes you more than what you are as a person. That's another one. It's also embedded in the culture. Man, this dude got the Gucci belt on, the Louis shoes, and all that shit, man. Man, he must be really like this type of blah, blah, blah. You know, using that external factors to really represent a person's character and make a lot of assumptions about them. You can make some safe conclusions, but let's continue, chat. The same holds true for you, for me, for everyone. You were taught how to think and act when it comes to money. These teachings become your conditioning, which becomes automatic responses that run you for the rest of your life. And that's the key here, chat. Realizing how automatic a lot of your decision making is. Because if it's so automatic, it's constantly creating your results. You are automatically acting in a way right now that keeps you broke. You're automatically, and there's somebody else who's automatically acting in a way right now that maintains their wealth and keeps them going towards better opportunities. For what y'all like to call self-sabotage, and how oftentimes people will be in situations of opportunity and freeze. avoid it, run from it. I remember an example a friend told me where he was like, he'll be linking, or he'll be wanting to link a woman and hoping the link fails, hoping she cancels, hoping that an excuse is made. Or on the opposite end, you end up forcing yourself to come up with one, looking for any opportunity or situation or excuse to get out of it and bullshit. Because that's, again, automatic behavior based on your conditioning. No, it's not about bro being gay. Like, he just might be comfortable being alone, or not fully comfortable trying something new, or going out of his comfort zone, or walking into the unknown and embracing the unknown. So it's not, oh, he's not gay, his sexual attraction for women should overtake him. It's his conditioning of him constantly shooting down growth, constantly shooting down what he perceives as uncomfortable. And in that case, it was the form of him experiencing linking women. Unless, of course, you intercede. Excuse me, let's go back. These teachings become your conditioning, which becomes your automatic responses that run you for the rest of your life. Unless, of course, you intercede and revise your mind's money files. That's why later in the book I showed y'all, it's called Wealth Files. Your mind's money files, like a file that you organize documents and papers inside of your wealth files. Okay. Where was I? This is exactly what we are going to do in this book, and what we do for thousands of people each year on a deeper and more permanent level at the Millionaire Mind Intensive Seminar. We said earlier that thoughts lead to feelings, that feelings lead to action, that actions lead to results. So here's an interesting question. Where do your thoughts come from? Why do you think differently from the next person? Your thoughts originate from the files of information, you have in the storage cabinet of your mind. The storage cabinets of your mind. So where does this information come from? It comes from your past programming. That's right. Your past conditioning determines every thought that babbles up in your mind. That's why it's often referred to as the conditioned mind. To reflect this understanding, we can now revise our process of manifestation in the following manner. Right? Your programming leads to your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results. So people always say thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to feelings, but they forget the programming part. And that's what I'm telling you, I love this book because it added layers to stuff that you feel like you've already heard. Mind you, I've read a lot of books, chat. A lot of these spiritual self-help books, they tend to get gimmicky and repetitive. And I'm telling you, there's this book. It's not many books I can name that have provided a unique take, a unique insight, or a unique angle, and that aren't even super obvious mainstream. A lot of the mainstream books that people have recommended have been disappointing to me. But it'd be a book by an author you've almost never heard of. I mean, this book has obviously had some success, and this guy has had success, but this is not as popular as some other financial, spiritual, self-help books. Let's keep going. Therefore, just as is done with a personal computer, by changing your programming, you take the first essential step to changing your results. So how are we conditioned? We are conditioned in 3 primary ways in every arena of life, including money. Number 1, verbal programming. Verbal programming. What did you hear when you were young? Chat, this is the example I used when I said money is the root of all evil, for one. Another is, people's, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I can't catch a break. All types of shit surrounding money and other concepts. What did you hear when you were young? That's one. Modeling. What did you see when you were young? Right? Seeing people be stressed and drink or smoke. You'll probably model that. Seeing people have a conflict and yell and say fuck you bitch and all that when they're arguing, you'll see that and model that. Because that's the only way you've observed as a way that you've seen conflict be handled or resolved and played out. Specific incidents is the third one he mentioned. What did you experience when you were young? The 3 aspects of conditioning are important to understand, so let's go over each of them. In part 2 of this book, you will learn how to recondition yourself for wealth and success. That's why I said this first part is just laying the philosophy and the foundation for a lot of stuff. Part 2 is hits you like a hammer, bro. All right, the first influence, verbal programming. Let's begin with verbal programming. What did you hear about money, wealth, and rich people when you were growing up? Did you ever hear the phrases like, money is the root of all evil, save your money for a rainy day, rich people are greedy, rich people are criminals? It's kind of funny. I still remember some of the quotes from this book, but it was so similar in my life. I just took it like related to it. Filthy rich. Oh yeah, filthy rich. You have to work hard to make money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't be rich and spiritual. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money talks. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. With not for people that's not for people like us. Not everyone can be rich.
Next time, make it 20.
There's never
Thank
enough.
You for that 10. I know you
Infamous.
barely had
I'm gonna turn off notice.
Jaden Jordan donated $1.
I appreciate the
mindset,
donut, man. I'm gonna try to lock in with this as much as possible, though, chat. Actually, no, let me leave that up, because if y'all ask a question, let me leave that up. And I'm not reading chat, then y'all can just be like, oh shit, Todd, pay attention. So yeah, let me keep going, chat. There's never enough. And the infamous, we can't afford it. I keep going. In my household, every time I ask my father for any money, I'd hear him scream, what am I made of, money? Jokingly, I respond, I wish. I'll make an arm, a hand, even a finger. I'll take an arm, a hand, and even a finger. He never laughed once. Damn, tough crowd. Here's the rub. All the statements you heard about money when you were young remain in your subconscious mind as part of the blueprint that is running your financial life. Verbal conditioning is extremely powerful. For example, when my son Jesse was 3 years old, he ran over to me and excitedly said, Daddy, let's go see the Ninja Turtle movie. It's playing near us. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out how this toddler could already be a master of geography. A couple of hours later, I got my answer in the form of a TV commercial advertising the movie, which had at the end of the usual tagline, now playing at a theater near you. Another example of the power of verbal conditioning came at the expense of our Millionaire Mind Seminar participants. Stefan didn't have a problem earning money. His challenge was keeping it. At the time Stefan came to the course, he was earning over $800,000 a year and had been doing so for the past 9 years. Yet he was still barely scraping by. Somehow he managed to spend his money, lend it, or lose it, all by making poor investment decisions. Whatever the reason, his net worth was exactly zero. Stefan shared with us that when he was growing up, his mom always used to say, rich people are greedy, they make their money off the sweat of the poor, you should have just enough to get by, after that you're a pig. End of quotations. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what was going on inside Stefan's subconscious mind. No wonder he was broke. He was verbally conditioned by his mother to believe that rich people are greedy. Therefore, his mind linked up with rich with greedy. His mind connected the two. Therefore, his mind linked up rich with greedy, which of course is bad. Since he didn't want to be bad, subconsciously he couldn't be rich. Did y'all just understand that follow through and that connection and that train of thought, chat? It's a very important one. It's a very important one about the stuff you can tell yourself in order to get in your own way. Again, this is the example of there's no such thing as self-sabotage. You're always fulfilling some part of yourself, even if you're getting in your own way, even if you're stopping your own success. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. Your body and your mind are always working. You could say Stefan is self-sabotaging himself. How do you make $800,000 a year? Your net worth is zero and you're barely making it by month. You can say, oh my God, he's an idiot. If I was making 800K, bro, then I would. No, because you have programming that will fuck your money up too. You think you know what you would do, but it's easier said than done. Because it's deep, it's buried. It's buried like seeds in the dirt. So the fruits that came from his roots is obviously he's fucking up money, and like he said, it's obvious. But catch this connection. Because of what his mom said when he was younger. Therefore, his mind linked up rich with greedy, which of course greedy is bad. Since he didn't want to be bad, subconsciously he couldn't be rich. Because down the line, rich equals bad. So even though he's making so much money, $800,000 a year is crazy. And it's so easy for him to be rich and wealthy and create a huge gap with his net worth. Because of his own programming, he's not allowing himself to harbor a lot of money because he's going to associate it with negative qualities of a person. And he doesn't want to view himself as negatively, creating all that discomfort. It's deep, man. You got to understand that part. You really have to understand that part. Stephen loved his mom and didn't want her to disapprove of him. Obviously, based on her beliefs, if he were to get rich, she wouldn't approve. Therefore, the only thing for him to do was to get rid of any extra amount of money beyond just getting by, or otherwise he'd be a pig. This is an example of, chat, like when children become sneaky because they're acting out of behavior that they know they want to do anyway, but they already understand their parents' judgment and perception of that behavior. Smoking makes you lazy. Having sex makes you a whore and lustful. Staying up late is bad for you. And it's like a person ends up doing these things anyway or avoiding the behaviors because of the result of the judgment or the belief around that programming. So there's a million examples. It's not just money. You have to really apply this in a wider context to understand why you may do certain things. Shit, if I don't catch up or keep up with sports, then I'll have nothing to talk about when I meet my friends. Then I'll be boring. If I don't wear these clothes with these certain labels and these certain brands, then I'm not going to fit in. I'm not going to be cool. I'm actually going to buy those shoes or get that one because I know everybody knows and heard of Louis Vuitton, so I got to fit in. I got to get them new Louis Vuittons and show off. If I don't take my Instagram story, people aren't going to know I'm cool and I live a fun life and I go out and shit. All of it all your programming always ends to that result, but it always comes back to that programming. What would I have to talk about with my friends if I didn't keep up with all this bullshit? Like, you know what I'm saying? I can go on and on, chat. Let me keep reading though. Now, you would think that in choosing between being rich and being approved by mom, or anyone else for that matter, most people would just take being rich. Not a chance. The mind just doesn't work that way. Sure, riches would seem to be the logical choice, but when the subconscious mind must choose between deeply rooted emotions and logic, emotion will almost always win. Let that sink in. And he emphasizes that again. What's this? My favorite book of all time, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. We're doing a read-through on Twitch. I'm starting with part 1. Let's get back to our story. In less than 10 minutes at the course, using some extremely effective experiential techniques, Stephen's money blueprint changed dramatically. In only 2 years, he went from being broke to becoming a millionaire. At the course, Stephen began to understand that these non-supportive beliefs were his mom's, based on her past programming and not his. We then took it a step further and helped him to create a strategy whereby he wouldn't lose his mother's approval if he got rich. It was simple. His mom loved Hawaii, so Stephen invested in a beachfront condo in Maui. He sends her there for the entire winter. She's in heaven, and so is he. First, she now loves that he's rich and tells everyone how generous he is. Second, he doesn't have to deal with her for 6 months of the year. Brilliant. This guy's funny. In my own life, after a slow start, I began doing well in business, but never seemed to make money with my stocks. In becoming aware of my money blueprint, I recalled that when I was young, each day after work, my dad would sit down at the dinner table with the newspaper, check the stock pages, slam his fist on the table and shout, "Those stinking stocks." He then spent the next half hour ranting about how stupid the whole system is and how you have a better chance of making money playing the slot machines in Las Vegas. Now that you understand the power of verbal conditioning, can you see that it's no wonder I couldn't make money in the stock market? I was literally programmed to fail. Programmed to unconsciously pick the wrong stock at the wrong price at the wrong time. Why? To subconsciously validate my money blueprint that said stocks stink. Let me take a sip of water. All I can say is, by digging out the massive, toxic weed from my inner financial garden, I began getting inundated with more fruits. Virtually the day after I reconditioned myself, the stocks I chose began to boom. And I've continued to have amazing success in the stock market ever since. It seems incredibly strange, but when you really understand how the money blueprint works, it makes perfect sense. I'm gonna tell you something. I remember reading this book, having this feeling like, bro, like, damn, what's the point of this? Like, is this gonna make a difference? Like, what, it's disbelief almost, sort of cautiousness or like doubt. The funny thing is, you really gotta just trust the fact that it's all the small changes that you can't even instantly feel that make a difference. Why? Because over time, your decisions change. You react and respond to situations differently. And that's how you know you're changed. When you are met with the same situation or the same opportunity and you respond differently. Take a simple example as a dating coach. Let's imagine we have a guy and he might deal with the same situation every day. He sees a woman he's attracted to and he just doesn't act differently and approach her. Now, the day he knows he's changed is the day that he starts to see women he's attracted to and he just goes over and speaks to them, introduces himself, and then has a conversation. And it's little decisions like that you might look up and he might have a question the next time he runs across a person, man or a woman, and they might seem extremely successful, and he might hesitate to speak to them. Say, hey, my name is blank. Nice to meet you. I noticed that you have this. I was curious. I'm looking for a mentor, and if you block, whatever the script is. But if he had remained the version of himself, which tends to look at opportunities, walk past them, ignore them, and bite his tongue, he'd have never been prepared to act on that situation and make the right decision. It's examples like that. That is what the first page of the book talked about when it said being the right person at the right place at the right time. You have all the opportunities randomly. I'm not saying they come every day, but where the right place and the right time happens, but you are not the right person, and you unfortunately make the wrong choice. What's good, Blacklist? What's good? And again, don't take the example of approaching a woman too literally, because obviously I'm using that as an example of taking advantage of opportunities that you desire personally. Now that you understand the power of verbal conditioning, yes, okay, we read that part. Yes, I read that part. All right, next part. Again, your subconscious conditioning determines your thinking. Your thinking determines your decisions, and your decisions determine your actions, which eventually determine your outcomes. Next page. There are 4 key elements of change, each of which is essential in reprogramming your financial blueprints. They are simple but profoundly powerful. The first element of change is awareness. You can't change something unless you know it exists. The second element of change is understanding. By understanding where your way of thinking originates, you can recognize that it has to come from outside of you. The third element of change is disassociation. Once you realize this way of thinking is not you, you can separate yourself from it and choose in the present whether to keep it or let it go, based on who you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. You can observe this way of thinking and see it for what it is, a file of information that was stored in your mind long, long ago and may not hold any truth or value for you anymore. The fourth element of change is reconditioning. Yeah. Forget the approach of women, Chad. I could have used investing in a stock. You look at the stock market, you desire an opportunity to grow money. You see an opportunity where the stock dropped in price or is about to go up and you trust it, and you don't act because you don't take advantage of opportunity. It's the same thing across the line. If you see a woman you don't want to talk to her, it's all the same. How you do anything is how you do everything. I love that as a philosophy. Now, the fourth element of change is reconditioning. We will begin this process in part 2 of this book, where we will introduce you to the mental files that generate wealth. Should you want to take this step further, I'm gonna read all his promo because this is his book at the end of the day. Should you want to take this as a step further, I invite you to attend the Millionaire Mindset Intensive Seminar, where you will be led through a series of powerful experiential techniques that will rewire your subconscious on a cellular and permanent level, retaining your mind to respond supportively in terms of money and success. The elements of frequency and ongoing support are also important for lasting change to occur. So I've got another gift to help you. If you go to millionairemindbook.com and click on free book bonuses, you can subscribe to the Millionaire Mind Thought of the Week. Every 7 days, you will receive a profound lesson that can assist your success. Meanwhile, let's go back to our discussion on verbal conditioning. and the steps you can take now to begin revising your money blueprint. Steps for change. Verbal programming. So this is going deeper into this part. Awareness. Write down all the statements. And chat, I'm telling y'all, this is new to you. I did this when I first read this book. So directly do this shit. So follow along. I'm going to open this VOD so you can always come back to this part. Again, I found this PDF with a simple Google search, so it shouldn't be hard for you to find if you need to come to this part. And this is on page 33, right? It's page 33 right now. Steps for change, verbal programming. Awareness. Write down all the statements you heard about money, wealth, and rich people when you were young. Understanding. Write down how you believe these statements have affected your financial life so far. Disassociation. Can you see that these thoughts represent only what you learned and are not a part of your anatomy and not who you are? Can you see that you have a choice in the present moment to be different? Declaration. Place your hand over your heart and say, come on, chat. All ads, I feel bad for y'all, but I'm gonna close the device so you'll be able to watch this and flow. What I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adopt new ways of thinking that support my happiness and success. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. The second influence, modeling. The second way we are conditioned is called modeling. What were your parents or guardians like in the arena of money when you were growing up? Did one or both of them manage their money well, or did they mismanage it? Were they spenders or savers? Were they shrewd investors or were they non-investors? Were they risk takers or conservative? Instantly, chat, I want y'all to instantly say, for the last part, you might never answer each of those, but you think of your parents, do you think of risk takers or conservative? For me, ironically, my parents are like opposites. My parents are like opposites, bro. Like dead ass. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. Know when to fold them and know when to hold them. Know when to fold and hold, man. Know when to take the risk, and know when you don't need it. Ideally, you be creating all your risk and taking it just how you want it. That sounds no diddy, man. No diddy. Pause on that one. Hold on. Almost sound crazy. But was money consistently there, or was the flow more sporadic? Like you would have money more randomly. Did money come easily in your family, or was it always a struggle? Was money a source of joy in your household, or the cause of bitter arguments? I had to look at the camera directly when I said this. Why is this information important? You probably heard the saying, monkey see, monkey do. Well, humans aren't far behind. As kids, we learn just about everything from modeling. Although most of us hate to admit it, chat, I'll just call you all monkeys. As most of us will hate to admit it, there's more than a grain of truth in the old saying, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. This reminds me of the story about a woman who prepares a ham for dinner by cutting off both ends. Her bewildered husband asks why she cuts off both ends. She replies, that's how my mom cooked it. Well, it just so happened that her mom was coming for dinner that night, so they asked her why she cut off the ends of the ham. The mom replies, that's how my mom cooked it. So they decided to call grandma on the phone because they asked why she cut off the ends of the ham. Her answer was, because my pan was too small. Do you understand what they did with that, chat? Do you understand where that metaphor was going? Now listen, I know that seems funny, but can y'all understand that? Yes, ideas and habits carry generations. But you know what's funny? The grandmama only did it. No, there was reason. She did do a reason. Her pan was too small, so she had to cut off the sides. But then the mom said she did it because her mom did it, and then his wife said it because her mom did it. So he traced it back generations. But ironically, they followed the behavior down generations, and it was only something that was done because of a lack of pan space. This would be like saying, I don't tie my shoes because my dad doesn't tie his shoes, because my dad's dad, my grandfather, doesn't tie his shoes. And then saying he only did it because his shoes were always too tight because he didn't have enough money to buy the right size. You're following a behavior that's directly linked to a state of being of lacking. A state of being that is abundant of poverty, lacking something. So I think that's even deeper in and of itself. She was doing it because her pan was too small. And if she had bigger pans, she simply wouldn't have cut the ham. And now they're doing it even though they have the example in the situation to have bigger pans. It sounds so dumb, but if you could take examples and metaphors and understand them, bro, you understand how deep that is. You could have a big enough pan, you still cut your ham. The point is that, generally speaking, you know what I think it is when I think of this? I think of you being talented or gifted, yet having the self-esteem and the overall poise and composure of someone who doesn't view themselves highly. You cutting off your sides because that's what you're modeling, and you saw low self-esteem people who didn't take risks, who didn't try to change their life actively because you just saw how they acted, and they only acted that way because of their failures and how they let their failures shape them. What is poise? My Patreon gang knows what poise is. I broke that down deeply. Simply put, poise is how an individual carries themselves and how well you can only say someone is poised if they handle situations with grace and with a sense of confidence. For example, if a bomb were landing on your city right now, you would want to turn the news on and see that your mayor is poised. You don't want to see your mayor crying and panicking. You want to see him have poise. You want to see him come on a news channel and say, be reassured, we are handling the bomb. We are taking care of it. Remain calm. Him handling that high situation or stress is poise. It's being poised. They also use poise in relations to like ballerinas because of how they move fast and smooth and balanced and like very in control of themselves. Think of poise, think of self-control. The point is that generally speaking, we tend to be identical to one or a combination of our parents in the arena of money. For example, my dad was an entrepreneur. He was in the home building business. He built anywhere from a dozen to 100 homes per project. Each project took a huge amount of capital investment. My dad would have to put up everything we had and borrow heavily from his bank until the homes were sold and the cash came through. Consequently, at the beginning of each project, we had no money and we were in debt up to our eyeballs. As you can imagine, during this period, my dad was not in the best of moods, nor was generosity his strong suit. If I asked him for anything that cost even a penny, his standard reply after the usual, "What am I made of money?" was, "Are you crazy?" Of course, I wouldn't get a dime, but what I would get was that. Don't even think of asking again, glare. I'm sure you know the one. This scenario would last for about a year or two until the homes were finally sold. Then we'd be rolling in dough. All of a sudden, my dad was a different person. He'd be happy, kind, extremely generous. He'd come over and ask me if I needed a few bucks. I felt like giving him his glare back, but I wasn't that stupid. So I just said, "Sure, Dad, thanks," and rolled my eyes. Life was good until that dreaded day when he'd come home and announce, "I found a good piece of land, we're going to build again." I distinctly remember saying, "Great, Dad, good luck," as my heart sank, knowing the struggle that was about to unfold again. This pattern lasted from the time I could remember when I was about 6 until the age of 21 when I moved out of my parents' home for good. Then it stopped, or so I thought. At 21 years of age, I finished school, became, you guessed it, a builder. I then went on to several other types of project-based businesses. For some strange reason, I'd make a small fortune, but just a short time later, I'd be broke. I'd get into another business and believe I was on top of the world again, only to hit a bottom a year later. This up and down pattern went on for nearly 10 years before I realized that maybe the problem wasn't the type of business I was choosing, the partners I was choosing, the employees I had, the state of the economy, or my decision to take time off and relax when things were going well. I finally recognized that maybe, just maybe, I was unconsciously reliving my dad's up and down income pattern. How many of y'all parents are income tax? It's income tax time. Oh yeah, I'm about to get my income tax. You know what I'm saying, chat? Just saying. Just saying, bro. You know, this book will point you dead in your face and say, I'm talking to you. That's what I like about this book. You know, all I can say is, thank goodness I learned what you're learning in this book and was able to recondition myself out of that yo-yo model. Like, y'all know the yo-yo? Do y'all know what the yo-yo is? I feel like I haven't seen one of them toys and heard one of them toys in a while. But a yo-yo is basically, you let it go, you can roll it back up. That's a yo-yo. So he's compared that to his finances, how his money goes down and his money goes up, then it goes down. So it rolls back and forth like a yo-yo. All I can say is, thank goodness I learned what you're learning in this book and was able to recondition myself out of that yo-yo model and into having a consistently growing income. Today, the urge to change when things are going well and to sabotage myself in the process still comes up. But now there's another file in my mind that observes this feeling and says, thank you for sharing. Now let's get refocused and back to work. You hear his mental dialogue where he's checking himself? Yeah. Another example comes from one of my seminars in Orlando, Florida. As usual, people were filing up to the stage one by one to get an autograph and say hello or thank you or whatever. I'll never forget one older gentleman because he came up sobbing. He could barely catch his breath and kept wiping his tears with his sleeve. I asked him what was wrong. He said, I'm 63 years old and I've been reading books and going to seminars since they were invented. I've seen every speaker and tried everything they taught. I've tried stocks, real estate, and been over a dozen different businesses. I went back to university and got an MBA. I've got more knowledge than 10 average men, yet I've never made it financially. I always get a good start, but end up empty-handed. And in all those years, I never knew why. I thought I must just be plain old stupid until today. I ain't gonna lie, chat. I told y'all, I've read probably 15 books in total when it comes to financial literacy, financial education. This book still remains top 5, top 3, top 2. Because you start realizing a lot of them repeat each other's information. A lot of them give you sound good shit. Like, they don't really get into the nitty gritty. This is just the beginning of the book. It's just placing the foundation. It's giving you the background information. It's just laying the foundation, bro. T.R. Ecker. I actually got the book right here. I'm only reading it on the PDF because it's just, again, I can scroll, just make it more natural. Finally, after listening to you and doing the processes, it all makes sense. There's nothing wrong with me. I just have my dad's money blueprint stuck in my head, and that's been my nemesis. My dad went through the heart of the Depression era. Every day he would try getting jobs or selling things and come home empty-handed. I wish I would have understood modeling and money patterns 40 years ago. What a waste of time. What a waste of time all that learning and knowledge has been. He began to cry even harder. I replied, no way is your knowledge a waste of time. It has just been latent. Y'all know what it means to be latent, right? Like sleeping or hidden or, not being used or active. Waiting in a mind bank, waiting for the opportunity to come out. And then if you formulated a successful blueprint, everything you've ever learned will become usable and you will skyrocket to success. This is so funny because I think of this like all the shit I was learning before I blew up with my first YouTube series, the Simper Pimp series. I had all the information just lying dormant, bro. Like, I knew how to edit. I knew how to make thumbnails. I learned about the YouTube algorithm. I knew how to write a title. I knew how to, for the most part, be comfortable on camera, talk on camera. I knew how to use Streamlabs and OBS to stream, to record. All those random skills came perfectly in time at the right place at the right time when that series took off. And I was ready to maintain uploading, maintain everything I needed. So that's another example of that. For most of us, when we hear the truth, we know it. he started to lighten up and began breathing deeply again. A big grin came across his face. He gave me the biggest hug and said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Last I heard from him, everything was booming. He has accumulated more wealth in the last 18 months than in the past 18 years combined. I love it. Again, you can have all the knowledge and skills in the world, but if your blueprint is success for success, you're financially doomed. We often get seminar participants whose parents were involved in World War II or who lived through the Great Depression. This is an older guy. I think this book is old, by the way. So that's why the timeline is set up like this, chat. You gotta realize, chat, it's not even often that people under the age of 25 or under the age of 30 pay for education. How many of y'all have been to a business seminar and paid to be there or traveled to go to it? Or know someone that has. You probably know someone that has. But for some people, the answer is no to both. Or not yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I told you, when I went to that Tony Robbins thing, which was my first actual business seminar, not just a business event, right? An actual seminar. They tend to last either a couple of days and then go through things. But I'm not going to describe them directly. But, you know, like, when I went there, I was surprised to see damn near nobody my age, bro. Ironically, it was people who already had money. And I myself at the time was making over $35,000 a month. Like, trying to figure out, how to get ahead, how to do more, how to be more. And some people were in their situations like, oh, I sold my couch to buy this ticket, gang. I ain't gonna lie, I auctioned off my fucking, there were them situations like that. But I just found it interesting. I compare it to that story I told y'all when I realized something in high school. And when I went from like a C student to like a B plus, A minus, A type of student. And I realized I never went to tutoring when I was a C and D student, when I was struggling in classes. Then fast forward, as I had I remember it was Algebra 2. I had like an 89 or 88 in the class, and I was trying to get an A. Right? I was trying to push to get like a 93, 5 points away from an A. And we got like bonus points from going to tutoring and all that. So I was getting it by any means I could, just get my A, right? And I remember I went to tutoring chat, and I told y'all, I didn't see one struggling student in tutoring. I saw all people who had A's or A minuses or higher. Mind you, I was friends with a lot of people in the class, so I knew who was struggling and I knew who was doing pretty good. I remember I told y'all this before. I was like, I had the type of teacher who would so comfortable with the students, she would expose you. We knew who was doing bad and we knew who was doing good in class. Like, we just knew. So it's just so funny. It just reminded me of that same example where I go to tutoring, which is where you think people go when they need extra help. And all the thriving students aren't there. All the striving and struggling students are not in tutoring. It was like an epiphany. It was like life just hit me in the face when I seen that. Let's keep going though, chat. Mind you, going to a business event, and people who are already, statistically speaking, wealthy, top 1%ers, 1% of the 1%. I told you I was there. I overheard a guy's conversation talking about he's working on getting his second plane. At the time, I didn't know one person who even owned a plane or bought one or was even thinking about buying one, So it just put that in perspective. You could easily lose all your money, so you might as well. Okay, wait, let me go back. Let me read back the sentence. We often get seminar participants whose parents were involved in World War II or who lived through the Great Depression. These people are often in shock when they realize how much their parents' experiences have influenced their beliefs and habits around money. Some spend like crazy because you could easily lose all your money, so you might as well enjoy while you can. Others go the opposite route. They hoard their money and save for a rainy day, living in fear. A word of wisdom: saving for a rainy day might sound like a good idea, but it can create big problems. One of the principles we teach in another of our courses is the power of intention. If you are saving your money for a rainy day, what are you going to get? Rainy days. Stop doing that. Instead of saving for a rainy day, focus on saving for joyous days or for the day you win your financial freedom. Then, by virtue of the law of intention, that's exactly what you will get. I mean, I'm telling you, this is one of those Small but deep things, bro. People overlook it, like, okay, I'm gonna change the wording, like I'm gonna just change how I look at it, I'm gonna just change the belief. Yes. And it'll make a difference. Let it be that simple. Earlier, and it'll make more sense, chat, when we get into the different parts of this book and we get deeper into like the wealth files and you start to see the mentality difference, the examples, and all the nitty gritty. Right now, like I said, this is like dipping your water in the pool to see what the temperature is. Except this shit is an ocean of knowledge. I love this book, man. Then by virtue of the law of intention, that's exactly what you will get. Earlier, we said that most of us tend to be identical to one or both of our parents. Excuse me, this is actually page 30. Page 30, but page 38 of the PDF. If you end up buying this book on your own. Page 30 of the actual physical copy. But there's also a flip side of that coin. Some of us end up being exactly the opposite of one or both of our parents. Why would that happen? Do the words anger and rebellion ring a bell? Ray, do too much. I appreciate the T1 sub. In short, it just depends on how ticked off you were at them. Unfortunately, as little kids, we can't say to our parents, Mom and Dad, have a seat. I'd like to discuss something with you. I'm not fond of the way you're managing your money, or for that matter, your lives. And therefore, when I become an adult, I'll be doing things quite differently. I hope you understand. Good night now and pleasant dreams. Imagine, that's actually funny as shit. It's funny as shit. Now, chat, when I first read this book, bro, my eyebrows was like this. Bro, I'm telling you, wait till we get deeper in the book, chat. I even skipped the first intro of it, where he talked about his parents a lot more. His personal life. I just got straight into the knowledge. But, gang, it was worse than looking in the mirror. It was like going to court, knowing I'm guilty. Like, it was crazy, bro. No. It doesn't go quite that way. Instead, when our buttons are pushed, we generally freak out, and what comes out sounds more like, I hate you. I'll never be like you. When I grow up, I'm going to be rich. Then I'll get whatever I want, whether you like it or not. Then we run to our bedroom, slam the door, and start pounding our pillow or whatever else it is at hand to vent our frustration. Yeah, you can tell this is a white guy. Many people who come from our families become angry. Oh, excuse me. Gotta stay glossed up and it's gonna go on YouTube. You know. I'm actually thinking about it. I'm just uploading this on the main channel. As is. Game is game. Now, we generally freaked out, blah, blah, blah. I read that part. Many people who come from poor families become angry and rebellious about it. Often they either go out and get rich or at least have the motivation to do so. But there's one little hiccup, which is actually a big burp. Whether such people get rich or work their buns off trying to become successful, they're not usually happy. Why? Because the root of their wealth or motivation for money is anger and resentment. Consequently, money and anger become linked in their minds. And the more money such individuals have or strive for, the angrier they get. You know what's crazy? This reminds me of the book, The Mountain of You, where it talks about when you start to re-understand your sense of self, you begin to change what pushes you and what motivates you. Take, for example, if you are always this is like people who always had to fulfill a role, right? They always had to be perfect. They always had to be the good child, or they always had to get good grades. When you're not living in that identity that was given to you, you don't even know how to maintain motivation. You don't even know how to organize your life, maintain your consistency, stay disciplined. Because now your internal reasons are different. Now you end up lazier, more bullshitty, procrastinating. Because your internal reasons and your internal logic, you need a new foundation. You imagine you just ripped, that's gruesome. No. Imagine you just, like, somebody learned to run, right? You learn to walk, you learn to run by trying to escape a lion, you know? And now that lion is not in your environment anymore. The reason you run now is you'll probably never run again. You'll start walking. You'll be walking because there's no lion around. Why would I need to run? So in this metaphor, like running is like working hard and being disciplined and being on top of your shit. You won't run anymore. You won't work as hard. You won't try as hard. Because again, I don't care. My parents not around. You know what I'm saying? They won't judge me. They won't know. They won't know that I didn't do my homework. This is why people go to college and go crazy. You know, the whole example of the girl who had strict parents and then she goes to college and just starts fucking everybody. She never had this freedom to do what she want to do. She never had her own developed sense of self or discipline or sense of her own perception of herself or her own identity, or her own judgment for herself, her own sense of morality. So left without any framework, anything happens. That's just a random example that comes to my head. Again, you find yourself however you find yourself. It is what it is. Let's keep going. Eventually, the higher self says, I'm tired of being angry and stressed out. I just want to be peaceful and happy. God damn, I love that sentence, chat. I love that sentence. I love that sentence. The higher self says, I'm tired of being angry and stressed out. I just want to be peaceful and happy. I can remember an exact moment where a part of me was just dead ass tired of feeling a certain way, bro. Of like feeling down. Feeling bad. You know? I love that part, bro. I really do. Reading so much has got my mouth so dry, bro. Let's keep going, chat. So they asked the same mind that created the link what to do about this situation. To which their mind answers, if you want to get rid of your anger, you're going to have to get rid of your money. So they do. They subconsciously get rid of their money. Now, mind you, the reason a lot of this behavior is so short-sighted, or like y'all will obviously look at it like, that seems like a dumb solution. It's because of the connections you have in your mind. It's the connection of money and greed that makes you stay away from money, because you don't want to be connected with being greedy. Because that's how you connect it in your mind. Excuse me. You may connect sex with like bad behavior or intimacy or sexuality with judgment and promiscuity. So you may never develop a healthy sense of self in your sex life and comfortability with your body and intimacy and sharing that with another person until you work on it and embrace it. No, this shit do go deeper than it seems. That's why I love this book. If you understand in this book, shout out to everybody here that's listening. And if you don't understand it, I read this book multiple times and I understand more every time. So it's fine at any level of understanding you are at. But when you really understand this book, you realize this shit is not about money, bro. And we just getting started. We only like 10 pages in, bro. Let's keep going. I read this, and to me, it helped me with money and financials, mentality and financial literacy. But it was so much deeper, bro. It was so much deeper. They overspend or make poor investment decisions, or get a financially disastrous divorce, or they sabotage their success in some other way. But no matter, because these folks are happy, right? Wrong. Things are even worse because now they're not just angry, they're broken angry. They got rid of the wrong thing. They got rid of the money instead of the anger, the fruit instead of the root. Meanwhile, the real issue is, and always was, the anger between them and their parents. Until that anger is resolved, they will never be truly happy or peaceful, regardless how much money they have or don't have. The reason or motivation you have for making money or creating success is vital. If your motivation for acquiring money or success comes from a non-supportive root, such as fear, anger, or the need to prove yourself, your money will never bring you happiness. And he emphasizes that as a principle of wealth. Let's keep going, chat. I want to finish this whole chapter. So we've probably been reading for over an hour now, I think. I don't even know. But I want to finish this whole chapter. I'll see how much longer we got. After the third influence, it's a couple more pages. It's actually a lot more to go. Oh my goodness. I didn't even realize. Oh, whole time? Every time one of these pops up, it's another chapter. Oh, I'm fried. Oh, actually, never mind. We don't have much to go. You know what? Since I don't have the physical book, it's harder to tell like what an actual new chapter is. I'm fried. I'm definitely fried. Let's go back. So I'm gonna read until I get to one of those bolded titles. I forgot, bro. I definitely forgot. Why? Because you can't solve any of these issues with money. Take fear, for instance. During my seminars, I asked the audience, how many of you would cite fear as your primary motivation for success? Not many people put up their hand. However, then I asked, how many of you would cite security as one of your motivators for success? Almost everyone puts up his or her hand. But get this, security and fear are both motivated by the same thing. Seeking security comes from insecurity, which is based in fear. So, will more money dissolve the fear? You wish. But the answer is absolutely not. Why? Because money is not the root of the problem. Fear is. What's even worse is that fear is not just a problem, it's a habit. Therefore, making more money will only change the kind of fear we have. When we were broke, when we were most likely afraid we'd never make it or never have enough. Once we make it, however, our fear usually changes to, what if I lose what I made? Or everyone's going to want what I have. Or I'm going to get creamed in taxes. Hey, yo. Chill. Hey, yo. Yo, old head lingo be crazy. Creamed into. Oh my God. Let's keep reading, bro. Let's be mature for a second. God, yo, chill out. He wrote that? In short, until we get to the root of this issue and dissolve the fear, no amount of money will help. Of course, given a choice, most of us would rather worry about having money and losing it than not having money at all. But neither are overly enlightened ways to live. Right? As with those of us driven by fear, many people are motivated to achieve financial success to prove they are good enough. We'll cover this challenge in detail in part 2 of this book, but for now, just realize that no amount of money can ever make you good enough. Money can't make you something you already are. Again, as with fear, the always having to prove yourself issue becomes your habitual way of living. You don't even recognize it's running you. You call yourself a high achiever, a hard driver, determined, and all of these traits are fine. The only question is why? What is the root engine that drives all this? For people who are driven to prove they are good enough, no amount of money can ease the pain of that inner wound that makes everything and everyone in their life not enough. No amount of money or anything else for that matter will ever be enough for people who feel they are not good enough themselves. Again, it's all about you. Remember, your inner world reflects your outer world. If you believe you are not enough, you will validate that belief and create the reality that you don't have enough. On the other hand, if you believe you are plenty, you will validate that belief and create plenty of abundance. Why? Because plenty will be your root, which will then become your natural way of being. By unlinking your money motivation from anger, fear, and the need to prove yourself, you can install new links for earning your money through purpose, contribution, and joy. Kind of funny how every time people think of making money or earning money, it's through some type of like taxing work instead of purpose, instead of contribution, instead of joy. Kind of interesting to think about, chat. That way, you never have to get rid of money to be happy. Being a rebel or the opposite of your parent is not always a problem. To the contrary, if you were a rebel, often the case with second-born children, and your folks had poor money habits, it's probably a good thing that you are their opposite. On the other hand, if your parents were successful and you're rebelling against them, you could be in for serious financial difficulties. Either way, what's important is to recognize how your way of being relates to one or both of your parents in the arena of money. Steps for change with modeling. Consider the ways of being and habits each of your parents had around money and wealth. Write down how you may be identical or opposite to either of them. Write down the effect this modeling has had on your financial life. Can you see this way of being is only what you learned and isn't you? Can you see you have a choice in the present moment to be different? Place your hand over your heart and say, what I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. You know what's funny? I read this statement out loud. I was like, silence. Ass statement, bro. Lisa and I got you bad statement. The third influence in specific incidents. I'm actually going to redo this one. I think it'll be interesting to think about. I think I really model my dad's more now. It's funny, when I remember first reading this book, and instantly came to me, mom was like, I model my mom's. But after changing so much, I feel like I model my dad's. In a way, you know. So, be interesting. I'm definitely going to do this rework after. The third influence, specific incidents. The third primary way in which we are conditioned is by specific incidents. What did you experience when you were young around money? What did you experience when you were young around money? Wealth and rich people. These experiences are extremely important because they shape the beliefs, or rather the illusions, you now live by. Let me give you an example. A woman who was an operating room nurse attended the Millionaire Mind Intensive Seminar. Josie had an excellent income, but somehow she always spent all of her money. When we dug a little deeper, she revealed that when she was 11 years old, she remembers being at a Chinese restaurant with her parents and her sister. Her mom and her dad were having yet another bitter argument about money. Her dad was standing up screaming and slamming his fist on the table. Outrage. She remembers him turning red and then blue, then falling to the floor from a heart attack. She was on the swim team at school and had CPR training, which she administered, but to no avail. Her father died in her arms. My God, that's rough. And so from that day forward, Josie's mind linked money with pain. It's no wonder then that as an adult, she subconsciously got rid of all her money in an effort to get rid of her pain. It's also interesting to note that she became a nurse. Why? Is it possible that she was still trying to save her dad? Oh shit. That's crazy. That's deep. At the course, we helped Josie identify her old money blueprint and revise it. Today, she's well on her way to becoming financially free. She's also not a nurse anymore. Not that she didn't enjoy her job, it's just that she was in the nursing profession for the wrong reason. She's now a financial planner, still helping people, but this time one-on-one, to understand how their past programming runs every aspect of their financial life, their financial lives. Why did bro pause like he didn't read this before? I guess I remember every single page word for word. I don't. I remember my favorite parts. Let me give you another example of a specific incident. One that's closer to home. When my wife was 8 years old, she would hear clanging bells of an ice cream truck coming down the street. She would run to her mom and ask her for a quarter. Ice cream for a quarter is crazy. What is this, 19 BC? Her mom would reply, sorry dear, I don't have any money. Go ask dad. Dad's got all the money. My wife would then go ask her dad. He'd give her a quarter. She'd go get her ice cream cone, and she was a happy camper. Week after week, the same incident would repeat itself. So what did my wife learn about money? Go ask your daddy. First, she learned that men have all the money. So once we got married, what do you think she expected of me? That's right, money. And I'll tell you what, she wasn't asking for quarters anymore. Somehow she's graduated. Second, she learned that women don't have money. If her mom, the Dee, didn't have money, obviously this is the same way that she should be. To validate that way of being, she would subconsciously get rid of all her money. She was quite precise about it too. If you gave her $100, she spent $100. If you gave her $200, she spent $200. If you gave her $500, she spent $500. You give her $1,000, she spent $1,000. You give her $2,000, she spent $10,000. I tried to. Then she took one of my courses and she learned about the art of leverage. I gave her $2,000, she spent $10,000. I tried to explain, no, honey, leverage means we're the ones who's supposed to get the $10,000, not spend it. Somehow it just wasn't sinking in. The only thing we ever fought about was money. It almost cost us our marriage. What we didn't know at the time was that the The meanings each of us attributed to money were radically different. To my wife, money meant immediate pleasure, as in enjoying her ice cream. I, on the other hand, grew up with the belief that money was meant to be accumulated as the means to create freedom. As far as I was concerned, whenever my wife spent money, she wasn't spending money. She was spending for our future freedom. And as far as she was concerned, whenever I held back from her spending, I was taken away from her pleasure in life. Thank goodness we learned how to revise each of our money blueprints, and more importantly, create a third money blueprint specifically for the relationship. So he's not saying, Chet, his was perfect and hers was bad, and hers was bad and his was perfect. I mean, hers was perfect and his was bad. He's saying they didn't cooperate well. This is a success story. I'm not passing out. Does all this work? Let me put it in this very way. I've witnessed 3 miracles in my life: the birth of my daughter, the birth of my son. My wife and I not fighting about money anymore. Statistics show that the number one cause of our relationship breakups is money. The biggest reason behind the fights people have about money is not the money itself, but the mismatch of their blueprints. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. If your blueprint doesn't match that of the person you're dealing with, you have a major challenge. This goes for married couples, dating couples, family relationships, and even business associates. The key is to comprehend that you're dealing with blueprints, not money. It's ironic to me how 2 people could have 2 dating blueprints, where a woman believes that a man is supposed to like pamper her on the first date and make it above and beyond and flowers in the chair, and a man may believe the opposite. Or maybe just the opposite. Maybe a woman believes the first date is supposed to be quality time, and then the man believes that he's supposed to pamper her with gifts and buy her stuff and make the most expensive date. And how if those 2 blueprints were mismatched, then they would say they didn't enjoy the date. It's kind of ironic. Once you recognize, where was I? Once you recognize the person's money blueprint, you can deal with your partner in a way that works for both of you. You can begin by becoming aware that your partner's money files are probably not the same as yours. Instead of getting upset, choose to understand it. Do your best to find out what's important to your partner in the arena of money, and identify his or her motivations and fears. In this way, you'll be dealing with the roots instead of the fruits, and have a good shot at making it work. Otherwise, no way, Jose. Ironically, a lot of the married couples I've seen that have lasted a long time, that have been happy and have stayed together, they always have a deep understanding of each other's values, and they always act and live in a way that respects each other's values, even if it's a long time. Even if it's, religion, and how often, one of them goes to church and then they show up with them, even though they might not be super religious like their partner or, their significant other. Whatever the case may be, they always find a way to live in a way that respects their values. If it's giving back, whatever the case may be. Could even be watching the game or some shit. One of the most important things you learn should you attend the seminar is how to recognize your partner's money blueprint, as well as how to create a brand new blueprint between both of you that helps you as partners get what you really want. It is truly a blessing to be able to do this, as it alleviates one of the biggest causes of pain for most people. Steps for change, specific incidents. Okay, this is the last one of this chapter chat. This is literally the end of the chapter. Here's an exercise you could do with your partner. Sit down and discuss the history each of you brings to your thoughts about money. What you heard when you were young, what was modeled in your family, and any emotional incidents that occurred. Also, what's funny, Chad? I remember my first time reading this book, the instant one that came to my mind, bro. Mind you, this is a specific moment. This is me being honest. I remember, I started living with my dad when I was I think 14. I want to say I was 14, maybe 15. But before that, my dad would send my mom money. And, because my mom didn't really have it all, she sometimes had to use the money that he sent me for other things than what the reason was. Now I'm older, I understand, and I fully accept that. Let's say you late on a bill and then, I'm getting money and it's not being sent for what it was. I guess, right? But as a child, I hated that shit, chat. So I remember this specific moment. I was trying to join the basketball team. I was in 5th or 6th grade. And the specific incidents, this emotional situation, I was 5th or 6th grade. I remember calling my dad. I remember my mom was Mom, I want to join the basketball team. I need some shoes. or maybe it was the football team and I needed money for like pads or some shit. Because you know them youth teams, they be making you pay money. So I was like, I needed certain things. So Mom was like, call your dad. I called my dad. He eventually sends the money. We go to the store to get shoes. Now, chat, I remember I specifically told my dad, if I remember correctly as a kid, I remember I said I wanted these LeBrons. LeBrons was the shit at this time, gang. I wanted these bronze, gang. I wanted these specific motherfucking bronze. Like, mind you, you don't need the most expensive shoes to hoop. But I guess in my mind as a child, I was so set on getting what I want. Whatever the case may be. I remember I asked him for an exact amount of money. Let's say it was like $200. We go to the sneaker store, right? Or maybe it was $160. Bro, I remember going to the store saying, yo, these was the ones I wanted. These was the ones I wanted. And then I think it was my mom and my grandma. And my mom was like, no, we can't get those. You got to get something cheaper, right? And I remember like, I'm like, what you mean? Like I asked, like, I'm like, what you mean? Like I asked for that much. I know it's enough because I know how much my dad sent. You know what I'm saying? I remember I told him how much I needed and he sent that exact amount. Like, right? So I forgot how I think it was my grandma said it out loud or maybe my mom said it out loud or something like no, I don't have the whole, 200 or whatever. I had to spend some of the money on this. Chat, I just remember I started crying. I was angry, bro. I was like so hurt by that, bro. Now it's just a kid. That's like some like, come on, like you mad as shit, like. But I lied to you not. I swear to God that moment changed my life. I literally remember since that day I hated asking for things. I hate asking for stuff, bro. To this day. Now I know how to ask for help now. Obviously, I've got past that. But Zeker, I appreciate the 5 months. Chat. To this day, I hate asking for shit. Why? Because I hate hearing no. I hate disappointment. So you know what it made me do, or the type of person it made me become? I became hyper independent, bro. Super independent, gang. Like to the point where I oftentimes, and I've learned to like grow past this. I know how to ask for help now. I know how to trust people to get other jobs, delegate tasks, etc. as an entrepreneur. But I remember having this unhealthy, toxic habit of wanting to do everything on my own, wanting to do it myself. Because I didn't want to hear no. And my whole philosophy was, guess what? Guess who can't tell you no? Yourself. If I say I want these shoes and I work, or get a job, or save money, and I tuck my money on my side, I can buy those shoes because I'm not going to tell myself no. So it was like that's the example of this book where I'm like, I chose the opposite of my parents. Like I'm not going to make myself have to sacrifice what I want. I'm not going to say I can't get this because I have to do this. And it's easier said than done. It's definitely easier said than done. But this book made me instantly think of that moment, chat. And that might seem like a dumbass moment, but that moment literally shaped how I treat others and treat myself. Like I wouldn't even ask for help because of that. Because it's really not healthy to be hyper independent. Like you do need others. You do need competent, capable people around you. You do need a great team, and there's a lot of benefits to that. Barely any water left. I'm drinking on like fucking drips. But we're almost done. I got like one more page. But it's like you wanted to prove it to yourself. Exactly. Fuck proving it to myself. I knew I wasn't going to tell myself no, so I was going to do whatever it took. The vibe be up. This is going to be on YouTube, and the vibe will be up in time. Now, so when it's funny he said this, I instantly thought of this. Also, find out what money really means to your partner. Is it really pleasure or freedom or security or status? This will assist you in identifying each other's current money. I'm having another thought here. Chat, don't we know that relationships aren't the same for everybody? Let's think about this for a second. To one man, a woman could be multiple things. I mean, to 5 different men, a woman could be 5 different things. To one man, this woman could fulfill loneliness. To the next man, this woman could be a trophy, a symbol of status, right? So for one man, he's securing his insecurity to be alone. For another man, this woman is a trophy to him, a trophy wife, a shoe to be put in the display case. Workwan, I appreciate the 7 months. Right? For one man, he's using a woman to have a display case to put on a show. To the next man, he could be using this woman for pleasure. I'm just trying to fuck. I'm just trying to do this and this. Just pure pleasure. Nothing more. Nothing less. To the next man, he could be using this woman to validate his identity. If he wasn't fucking no bitches, he would feel like a loser. If he ain't had no bitches, he wouldn't even feel like a man or feel like, who am I or what am I without talking to a woman? He couldn't go abstinent. He couldn't, just isolate and focus on himself and grind and go without sex. So you got to think about shit like this, because you got to understand what things mean to you and how you use them as tools for yourself. And if you like that or not, be more aware of that. Let's keep going. This will assist you in identifying each other's current money blueprint and may help you discover why you might be disagreeing in this arena. Next, discuss what you want today, not as individuals, but as a partnership. Decide and agree upon your general goals and attitudes with regard to money and success. Then create a list of these attributes. Then create a list of these attitudes and actions you both agree to live by and write them down. Post them on the wall, and even if there's ever an issue, gently, very gently, remind each other what you decided together when you were both objective, unemotional, and outside the grip of your old money blueprints. So just be like, if you and your woman, like, hey, I don't like how we living when it comes financially. You got your money blueprints. Your mom told you that money is the root of all evil. I got my money blueprints. I think that living check to check is the norm. So what we want is financial freedom. Here's the things we will not do. We will not waste money on designer clothes. Like, this is how I imagine that will look, y'all. But y'all would actually write shit down. We will not gamble. We will not waste money on designer clothes. Down, and down. We will not spend money on things that are pointless in entertainment. Like, y'all might have a full list. So then you and her, I like that. Y'all acknowledge that together and move forward together. Awareness. Consider a specific emotional incident you experienced around money when you were young. Understanding, write down this incident, how it may have affected you in your current financial life. Dissociation. Can you see this way of being is only what you learned and isn't you? Can you see you have a different choice in the present moment to be, why am I not reading right now? Can you see this way of being is only what you learned and it isn't you? Can you see you have a choice in the present moment to be different? Place your hand on your head and say, your hand on your heart and say, if I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past, and I release my non-supportive money experiences from the past and create a new and rich future. Touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. And that is the end of that chapter, chat. That's the end of that chapter. That's all we're going to read tonight from this book. Questions, comments, concerns. And I'm probably going to end the stream on this, honestly. We're going 5 hours now. I just hit 5 hours. But I'm gonna talk to the chat before I just straight up end stream. I should have said that. No, I ain't gonna lie. This is one of my favorite books, bro. Like, hands down, one of my favorite books. I'm gonna probably just upload this on YouTube, just raw. Just raw. Like, what drives you to get money? Purpose. I made the most money in my life trying to help others and helping others. Before that, it still was purpose. I tied my money beliefs into purpose. Even before I read this book, though. Like, when I wanted to be a doctor and my whole goal was to be a neurosurgeon, the reason I chose that career is because it had the status of credibility, and I wanted to make an impact on young niggas that grew up like me from Philly, showing them like, hey, yo, like, I'm not a square ass, weird ass nigga. Like, I'm from where y'all from. I am how I am, and I still went in circumstances that maybe my parents didn't go to college, or maybe I didn't know people who were of this status, and I went in these situations and I excelled. So I wanted to really be a role model of some sort. So even then, my money blueprint then was about, making a lot of money to help my family, but at the same time, being a role model, making a positive impact. It's so funny, bruh. I don't even know what type of content creator I am. You think about it. You got clips of me at the club. No. The YouTube video, you will find vlogs taking shots on a yacht in the book series on the same channel. Like, dead ass. Much your content heavy, I think you have a good intentions. I think you might, if I suggest you some YouTube content, I think with good intentions. And you should have just went and said it. Like tired as hell. People were saying that like hours ago. Realistically, I'm not going to sleep till like 6 in the morning. Nigga said, reading this on a yacht. I was thinking, and I can't really think of a negative moment when it comes to money. I normally got things I wanted or love, but can that influence my mindset towards money in a negative way by any chance? You have to do that investigating. Because it's not about getting what you want or not getting what you want. Obviously, an example of his wife, she got what she want. Yeah, that's exactly. I am my content. So Todd, this ain't got much to do with the book, but I wanted to know how you feel about this. I feel like I need to be more cocky in life because I feel like you should attack everything fully believing in yourself rather than not knowing and just learn from the mistakes. You just tied decisiveness with being cocky. You could be decisive without being cocky. But like reading a book reminds you of stuff like that. When people make statements like that, and you're for sure in the right space of mind to be in when it comes to making actions. But why need cockiness? Just be decisive. Make actions quick. Tough. No, I see it's in the Twitch comments. You said I don't think that learning financial literacy. Hold on. 2 YouTube channels that break down myths like financial literacy as solutions to the issues that have deeply affected our community. I think you have good intentions, but they say the path to hell is paved with good intentions. I hope you don't misinterpret this as an attack, but I don't think learning financial literacy is the solution to our community issues. When did I ever say financial literacy was the solution to community issues? Yeah, I'm not taking it as a attack. I just think you have this wrong. I think no matter what community you're in, you can benefit from information. You can benefit from learning. I love learning. I love reading, and that's just what you get right now. I'm not saying this is change on community issues. You know. But again, you gotta remember this too. On a community level, a lot of other communities, and obviously you're talking about ethnic groups because I can see that channel is called Black Liberation Media and African World. Like they're all like centered around the identity of being Black and African American. I'm sure. I spend a lot of time with other people's communities. You gotta realize financial literacy is the standard. It's the norm. So our lack of financial literacy is a part of the reason why people are so reckless. You know, I'm not gonna say it's a myth. I think that what I would agree with that statement is people over emphasizing the impact of financial literacy. Nine times out of 10, a lot of people just need more options with careers. Everybody want to be an entertainer or an athlete. You know, the average millionaire does not look like, Kashanat. And I'm not talking about racial or age wise. I mean career wise. The average millionaire has accumulated their million slow and steady, or invested over time, or worked on a career path. Or the average person who doesn't have financial struggles is not even a multimillionaire or wants to drive a Lambo. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, these are things you have to learn and realize before you tell yourself like what you need success to look like. And that's the only way that it can. Like, the only way I get a lot of money is if this song goes lit. The only way I get that chain is if I make this work right here. It's not true. That's just not true. You know what I'm saying? How important is keeping your goals to yourself? Do you believe in bad energy, or the goals could be? Depends how you are as a person. It's funny, somebody just made my J. Cole clip go viral. That shit is literally from like 2 years ago, where I was talking about how J. Cole didn't tell his family his goals. I'm one who wore my goals out loud, and I tend to. And I've seen people who are even more extreme than that. They say what they're going to do out loud before they do it. And both are successful. All three are examples of people who have created success. So I don't think one makes you successful. Like, oh, you hit your goals. That's the road to success. Ads. All right. So now I got to wait for his ads to be done, because that was his question. That's like fucked up timing for you. I experienced as a kid, it made me mad. I had to show my position around women. Everyone she thought at me. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been able to shake it. I haven't talked about this shit because I can't remember where that's ever worked for me, but someone told me to put it out there. Yeah, this could be anything, bro. Like I said, this just has to do with financial ideologies, habits, patterns, and conditioning. But all programming and conditioning is programming. Whether it's, financial net worth, whether it's how you view status, whether it's how you view money, whether it's how you view spirituality, whether it's how you view religion. You may think spiritual people deserve to go to the hellfire. You may believe in crystals and gems. You may believe crystals and gems are bullshit. If you watch the I'll Go to the Cave video, chat, y'all tend to understand how the more authentic version of myself, I have such a nonchalant demeanor and attitude, because it's so hard to react to people opinions, arguments, and standpoints, when my default understanding of it all is, I'm fine with you. You can think what you will. Think what you will. Do what you will. It's just like a deep sense of I could care less. I can't shake that, honestly. So anytime y'all see or mention something like, yo, oh my God, look at this, look at that, I probably don't. It wouldn't deeply bother me. Like, I would have to try really hard to make it bother me. This person said that. This person did this. Oh my God. I find it really hard to care. I find it difficult even. Everybody's opinion is valid. I really don't. It doesn't bother me. My bad if I'm misinterpreting about everything. If you look at understanding, it may transform how you look at financial literacy. They wouldn't, because I've used my financial literacy to help me, my personal family and community, and help my parents get their stuff together. I appreciate the offer though. I just think it's one of those things where you're looking at it as either or. Like, it's either you look at financial literacy like this, or it's a myth, and that's just how you choose to believe it. I'm fine. Listen, this is an example of that nonchalance. I'm fine with you believing that, and I thank you for the offer. But I kind of even look at the titles of the channel, and I kind of see what's going on there. Am I in the universe works? No, I cannot summarize it. I'm late for a straightforward concept. Money is meant to be spent, saved, invested, meant to be utilized in a sensible way. My way. Money is security of your life, a median of goal. All these stereotypes about money stems from nothing but the mindsets of people who have them. Yeah, it's like you realize it or you don't. I'm like that too. People around me feel like I lack love for them because of nonchalance. They are allowed to feel that way. I was answering the guy's question before the ads ran, so to the guy who got his shit answered, I paused it. But if you're still here, like I said, if you don't tell anybody around you your goals, or versus if you say what you want to do out loud before you even do it, all that matters is the action. And I use the J. Cole example because when J. Cole said like he hid from his family and all his friends, he didn't tell nobody he wanted to rap or create a career with hip hop. My point I was making was not that you shouldn't tell anybody your goals, and that's the only way that you'll manifest success or some shit like that. My point with that was it showed his confidence to not need or even open the door for an opinion. He knew what he wanted and he just went for it. Vice versa, it can also show confidence if someone declares, this is what I'm going to do. And then they go do it. They tell everybody what they're going to be, what they're going to do. And they even take in the that's what I did. Everybody, before I even was successful streaming on YouTube, and I had my first couple of videos do good, I had like a couple thousand subscribers, and people found out I was dropping out of school. They didn't have to know. They didn't have to find out. I could have just dropped out and just did what I wanted. I'm dropping out. I'm letting it all be known. It was a whole thing in my family on both sides. Like, oh my God, no, don't drop it. Like, oh my God. I still did it. You know. So that could be an example of being pushed away from doing something and still doing it. Like, you can't stop somebody that's confident. All that matters is action, bro. I've seen somebody say that, they purposely say what they're going to do out loud because now they have to be accountable for what they said. So that's obviously a person who looks at their word and puts a lot of value in their word. Meanwhile, J. Cole said the opposite, and I agree with what he said too. Do what works for you. It's about your confidence. It's about your action. It's about you. It's about, honestly, at the end of the day, making yourself accountable no matter how you do it. Emotion difference. Confidence a feeling? Nah. I know you can feel confident. But I think confidence is just silent, bro. Like, it's silent, bro. Confidence shuts up the noise. Because at the end of the day, you're going to do it or you're not. You abide it or you're not. It is or it is not. You go for it. You reach for it. You say it. You do it. That's what, like, confidence is just doing it, man. Like, yes, confidence is trust in self. But you're trusting yourself to do it, say it, be it. You know, and it's that small. It's that small. But it really is a foundation. Because what happens in its place? You don't have that confidence, you don't have that trust, and you don't have that simplicity, you open up the space for everything else. Overthinking, anxiety, hesitation, procrastination, avoidance, folding, freezing. You know, it's confidence, effort. I don't know what you mean by that. Point me in the direction to go. Well, read more. Read more to get perspectives and mentalities that might challenge your own. Especially those around you. It's even more important to get information, knowledge, or even at least change your relationships and find people that are in spaces and areas of life that model what you want to be and what you want to do. On every level. On every level. Did I miss a question? Hold on. Bro, this lamp is so bright in my face, bro. Like squinting, the shit is right in front of me. Do you believe in coming up with your day ones or meeting the right people along the way? I did both. my assistant, Lemon Man, as I know him, Lemon Man or Leak. I've known him since I was 11 years old, maybe 12. I'm gonna say 11 or 7. I don't know how old was I in 7th grade, but I knew him since I was like 11. And then some people I've knew in the last couple of years. Miami the Kid, Dre, Primetime. Met them like 3-4 years ago, you know. Met Morrow and them this year, within the last year. Joe and them within the last year, like, you know. I think the whole watch out for the day ones thing is that sometimes you gotta recognize, because there is people that didn't make it respectfully because of their own actions. The problem, this is the thing. If you watch my 48 Laws of Power video where I was like, yo, these are the 3 most impactful laws and these are how I observed them in my own life, right? The law talked about use absence to create honor and respect, that one. And I said, I didn't use this law, like I didn't read the law and then do that. I actually had that experience and then found out about the law and I was like, yo, this directly represents what I'm going through or what I just went through, right? So fast forward, with that law, use absence and honor to increase respect. And you talking about, do you come up with your day ones or people you met along the way? Gang, when you really on your shit, you already become hard to link. Naturally. You already become that much harder to spend time with. If anybody here has ever worked 2 jobs, you know, has ever gone to school and done a job, has ever had a big test coming up, or, you know, whatever, you already know it's harder for you to even fit in other shit. And then on top of that, as you on your shit, you meet people by being on your shit that either teach you things or they're learning from you and they're just as hungry. It's just so natural. I just think it just, like, the world just works like that. But what I had to personally work on, and this is something I really worked on my first year of blowing up, was looking at people for who they are and what they do. I would say my younger version of myself would see a lot of what I hope a person can turn into. And fuck all that. You got to see people where they're at right now. And then distance yourself and let them grow and then show that they different. The difference is you're not putting that burden of responsibility on that effort on you to change them. You can't. I've literally realized that with my own eyes, you cannot. I've seen people take Primetime or Dre the Topic, for example. Both of them called me. Yo, how I set up Twitch, how this shit work, blah, 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 boom. Nigga, I never forget the first day I helped Prime set up Twitch, it was almost like it was almost like shooting a gun at a horse race. The nigga streamed for like 7 days straight. He streamed that night. He knew how to work the shit. Instantly. That's an example of what I mean by you gotta look at people for what they are and who they are. I seen that, I'm like, yo, this dude's decisive, confident. He takes advantage of opportunities, and he doesn't play about what he wants to do. I've seen on the opposite people who have talked about what they want to do for years, months, weeks, days, hours. Talk about it and then turn around, go home and not do it. Go to sleep knowing that they still didn't do it. You know what? I'm gonna just get my sleep and wake up early. And meanwhile, I know people that won't sleep until it's done. And I've been both. I've been the bullshitter. You know what? I'm gonna do that shit tomorrow, and you know whatever. I'm just go to sleep on it, and you know whatever. And then I'm the person now where I'm like, I'm looking at the vibe. I'm writing the notes down. I'm like, all right, this needs to go like this. This is organized like that. That's what I want to do. Like, you just are what you are. You are what you are. It was the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, that said, never take advice on gems from your doctor. Now, if you know about The Richest Man in Babylon, that book was written in like an old times context. So that'd be like saying, I'm not asking my doctor for stock market advice, and I'm not asking my financial advisor for health advice. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't mix the two. So it's like you have to realize And my example of that is when I was first trying to become an entrepreneur, starting my business off, breaking away and breaking goals and breaking limits and growing like never before, I heard the most criticism and advice from non-entrepreneurs. I was trying to drop out of school. I heard the most advice from people who either A, didn't go to college. Oh, excuse me, let me say this. Let me just summarize it. I heard the most advice of going back to school and not dropping out. And nobody I knew owned a business. And that was their primary source of income. That should tell you something. Of course they're giving me that advice because that's where they're coming from. You feel me? Of course. You know, it just is what it is, though. See, now I would like literally, I would hear it, I would listen to it, but I would have the discernment to look at them and say internally, because I ain't gotta say this to my face to make them feel invalid, but respectfully, I'm looking for business experience, business acumen. You know, I'm looking for that business experience and shit like that. You don't own a business, you don't have a business, respectfully, I'm not hearing your opinion on whether I should drop out or not and how much money I'm making. And because you're speaking on what you don't know. Do a think back on the situation and tell yourself I should have said that and it was a better response. No, I think that if you're doing that too often and too deeply, you ain't really living in the moment. You're not. I oftentimes forget about shots. Is this crazy, chat? I also don't have my Instagram notifications on. I forget I shot my shot. Come back, look at my DM, I say, oh shit, like, damn, like. Meanwhile, you got dudes who, or even a person, like, I'll be forgetting, like, I remember like 2 weeks ago. Like, I won't even know. You couldn't put a gun in my head and ask me. Meanwhile, you got dudes who be like, man, I just got rejected by this girl. And I asked them, how long ago? 3 weeks ago. How do you, like, I'm not going to say I don't remember entirely. Like, I could probably think about what I did that day. I'll say I remember the girl from the Target. But I'm out of sight, out of mind. You know, I'm already thinking about my next shit. What I'm about to do next, what I'm on to. What I'm moving forward, what's next. You know. What hours did you used to put into YouTube? Well, you watch one of my biggest videos. I think it was the Secrets to... No, it wasn't the Secrets to Flirting. It was the Cheyenne one with David Boomey. Forget the title of that video. That's actually crazy. But I recorded that video after a 7-hour stream at 4 in the morning, and that video was 50 minutes long. You asked me how many time I put into YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to wake up the next day. This is before I had Patreon. Woke up the next day, had to watch that video, make clips from it, upload those clips on TikTok, make the thumbnail, make the title, upload that, record probably another video, and then start my stream. And then deal with whatever I had to do with on stream. You know, it was everything. There was no how many hours I put in. It was just an everyday, all day thing. You know, I remember at one point I didn't even have a social life, bro, and that shit happened during the summer. I wouldn't think like that now. I obviously have different mentalities where, like, I remember I cut off every single one of them I was talking to, chat. Me now, you're getting on this stream, you're getting on this vlog. Like, I just think like that now. But back then, I just was like, everything's off. Vlogging the best way to start YouTube. The best way to start is the way you want to. Upload what you want. Study the algorithm of what works. Because there are thumbnails that work. There are titles that work. You know, there are intros that work. Intros meaning the first minute to 2 minutes. I even did that on my gaming channel in real time. Obviously I've already had a successful channel, so it's easy for me to do this thing out. I've technically had 2 successful channels now, my main channel and my blog. But the third channel, the gaming channel, I never did gaming content. I'm not known for that. There's nothing in there that I could say. But because of the tools I have for YouTube, my gaming channel is doing great right now. Off scratch. It's so funny because The first time I tried to blow up as a content creator was gaming. You go to my oldest videos on Tykwondoe, you're going to see gaming videos. Now I know how to blow up off gaming content. Now I know. So it's like now I upload those videos. I got it together. But I still had to learn some shit. I didn't know how niggas was editing their gaming videos. I didn't know how the thumbnails looked. Especially RP. I watched no RP content. I don't know one RP content creator. So one day as I started to do RP, I started to look up people. I started finding out certain people like Furious Fade and can't remember the other people's names I seen. No disrespect to them, but I started looking at their videos, their intros, their titles, their thumbnails. I'm sorry, all right. So I started experimenting with shit. And lo and behold, I don't even know how many views it got now. That's another thing too. People be depressed. This video did bad. This video did good. I don't even have time to check on my video's progress. If I find out how good or bad a video did, it's an accident. It's an accident. I'm like, oh shit, that video. You always gotta be moving on to your next shit. Fucking, it was a James Brown quote from him. He's like, the guy asked him which James Brown's best. He said James Brown's best is yet to come. And this is deep in his career, 10, 20 years after he was already successful. The best of James Brown is yet to come. But see, I didn't even know Furious Fade had Fortnite videos. I think I seen on the channel it was only GTA shit. That's funny, because I remember seeing his GTA content. I'm like, damn, this nigga was successful off rip. I'm like, god damn, it called instant success. But there you go, he had experience making Fortnite content. And then the GTRP keeps getting bigger and bigger. Now look at him, he's one of the biggest ones. As soon as I look at GTRP videos, he's one of the first people to pop up. His videos were polished, man. How you think I can get out there lazy when I should start doing things even when I don't want to and become strong enough to attack everything fully? I'm telling you, it looks like a golden answer. Like you really looking for that moment. Like, my God, Ty, you said that, and I just instantly got up, changed my life, start working hard and grinding hard. But honestly, I am not that. Nobody's that. No book. Listen, this book isn't that. I'm not that. That TikTok clip you watching is not that. That podcast that you watch is not that. It's literally you. You only able to use. I only was able to use this information that I read from completing this book and the other books I read because I put it into action. It's all about action, bro. So a lot of your laziness is just coming from the simple fact you might not have no type of plan of action, no thought process of your life, no direction, and you give yourself direction. And even you got to give yourself direction first, because what happens is if it's the wrong direction, guess what? You only find out by going the wrong way. My whole plan to be a doctor and a neurosurgeon, chat, nigga, I was going into my junior year of college when I dropped out of college for this shit. And if you know, with the medical field, your first 2 years, you already got most of the shit figured out. Like, you finna start applying to medical school your next year. At least beginning senior year, most of junior year. Like, my resume, my CV out of curriculum vitae, which is like different from a resume. This is the same exact thing as a resume, basically. Just a fancier title. And it's organized differently. Gang, my shit was pages long. Community service, involvement, GPA was high. Like I was lined up nicely because of a plan. I don't think I would have been able to do all that if I didn't know that's how I wanted to orient myself and organize my career. I wouldn't have, honestly. And I know too many people who sit within that struggle for too long. They know they're not making enough money. They know shit ain't right. And they're just sitting in it. Like, what are you waiting for? A huge counter of laziness is urgency. Like, delusionally tell yourself you gotta do it now. It has to be done today. In the loop, or the pattern continues tomorrow. In the loop today, or the pattern continues tomorrow. It's that simple, bro. So if you can still comfortably go to bed, it's so funny. Now I've started streaming every day. It's like I didn't even. I'm like, what was I doing that night? Like this is like the only thing I should be doing. Then I've shifted back into that mentality. But it's like until you get tired of like not doing, there's nothing anybody can do for you at all. Just nothing any type of convincing can do. Number one piece of advice when it comes to changing your mindset and struggle that comes with, appreciate where you are and how far it has got you. And bury it. Like give it its respects. Appreciate how you think, how far you've gotten. Appreciate all that. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledge it and recognize it for what it fully is. Understand it. Let it go. You won't fully move on until you understand it, I don't think, because a part of you may still be attached to it in ways you don't even know. Some people just don't know where to go. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Even when you have a plan, even when you have direction, it doesn't mean you know where to go. Like if y'all in here right now, like Tom, I'm working at Best Buy and I just don't have enough money and I don't know what to do and I'm getting older and older. I would say like, bro, first of all, go for a better career, figure out that, and hey, if you find out during the middle of that school that career makes you miserable, you just found something valuable. You have more knowledge and more information through experience. Trial and error. At least have trial and error. So you'll figure it out by process of elimination. For sure. Social working. What do you mean how I feel about it? Y'all ask them how to feel questions. I'm always sending a question back. I'm like, what do you mean by that? What do you know what I'm saying? I'm probably answer like one or two more questions. And I'm hungry as shit. I'm hungry as shit, I can't lie. I'm trying to lock in and not talk to women to do self-work, but during that self-work, I feel like you need to talk to women, develop a game and experience with them. I'm asking because I'm trying to learn how to talk to women while working on me. I don't even know why you're thinking that hard. Like, if I'm working on myself, I'll give you my example. I'm working on myself. I'm going to school. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to work. And I'm naturally working on myself. And then I come across a woman I found attractive. I'm shooting my shot. I don't know what you're overthinking. Should I do this? Should I do that? Like, gang, just live. Fear of starting YouTube and the opinions. I think if your fear of starting your channel is stronger than the importance of having that channel might not be, it's not going to impact anybody. You end up creating something horrible anyway. And I'm not saying that to shoot your dreams. I'm saying that for you to tap in to something that moves you and that is deeper to you. Because when that impact is deep or it moves you, it almost blinds you to every other concern. When I remember the thoughts that was in my mind when I first made my channel. I was 18. No, I was 19 when I dropped my first Limper Pimp, right? My first YouTube video that blew me up and got me out there. I remember thinking, am I old enough to be a dating coach? Is there any dating coaches my age? Because I didn't know nobody's content. Why would people believe me and they may be older than me? Why would they believe me? And I'm a private person. You know, I was even way more private than I was now. You know, I never posted myself with women. I didn't even have the YouTube channel to do it. But even in my personal life, I wasn't one of those guys with the close friends, yo, look at this bitch that was over my crib. Even to my IRL friends, I don't talk about everything I do. I don't tell them, yo, I just linked this joint at the, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't go out my way to prove anything or show anybody anything. So that's another thing I was like, in my head about, I'm like, damn, because they're going to question credibility. Oh, where your hoes at? Let me see your bitches. Let me see that. And the whole time I don't give a fuck for that. And in spite of that, I knew what I felt like I had to say was impactful and it was worth being shared. And I just focused on that. And then here goes my channel, my career. Fear of talking to women, same thing. If, a valuable, if in a conversation that you would enjoy or a situation or opportunity is not strong enough to overshadow the fear that you have, you simply don't care enough, or what you're doing is not important enough. I'll end it with this. I heard this from a songwriter. He said, oh, and you know what? Another writer too. I forget that. I hate that. I don't know people. I hate that I'm bad with names, chat. These two separate things I recently listened to and heard. One was a poet, and the other was a song, artist, musician. So the poet talked about if you have writer's block, if you're sitting at the paper staring at it and it's blank, if you are, blah blah blah. He was going on this whole tangent. He said, if you feel like that, don't write. Leave the table. Do not create more boring, fall asleep ass work that is already in the libraries collecting dust. If you don't, if writing to you isn't pulling you to that page and it ain't pouring out of your soul and you ain't communicating through your deepest intent and it ain't coming out of you, and this ain't about having creative bursts. To me, it wasn't about feeling creative and not feeling creative. It was more about the fact that when you have something to say, you can't make that up. Like, if DoorDash got on my fucking nerves today, and I wrote a poem about DoorDash being late, my food being trashed and sloppy, and whatever, because they can't copy. Like, if I just made up some shit, I don't fucking know. Like, that is genuine. It's so dumb of a fucking poem, but it deadass is coming from me, from somewhere. Or maybe I'm speaking on an important topic, an important matter. And honestly, as a creative person who I felt that pull and that urge for, I know what that poet was referring to when he said, listen, if you gotta force it on there, don't. Because exactly, there's a love for the game, there's a passion, there's a connection. And how that related to the artist I was going to talk about is because the artist kind of captured that in another perspective, and he said, you have to do 1 + 1 and make 3. You have to find that third thing, because he's talking about creating a song. You have to take you and the music and tap into that third thing. That third thing either moves you, impacts you. You don't even know what it is. You just know you can feel it. Take, for example, if a quote you heard changed your life. It's the person who wrote the quote and it's you listening to it. But there's some third element there that made it impact you. And it's not just, it's spiritual. I like it having no name. Put no name on it, because it could be anything. You don't, just take that feel, that feeling of that third thing. 1 + 1 = 3. It's me and the song I'm creating, and somehow there's a third thing here. There's something unknown. There's something beyond, transcendent, and it cuts deep, and you feel it, And you can have that with everything in your life, chat. You can have that. You could tap into that. You could connect to that. You could pay attention to that. Feed that. Invest in that. Indulge in things that have that. Listen to people and go places that share that. Feed on that and produce that. How to be more present is literally a mechanism to spend most of my time in my head. Breathing, mindfulness, paying attention to your surroundings, practicing letting things go. Who just says because you're in your head that you can't move? It'd be like you can go to the gym, lift weights, You got your next set coming, but you time yourself. I'm gonna give myself a minute and 30 to breathe, or a minute to take a break, and I'm just going to lift the gym. The alarm clock goes, and then you just go lift it. I think lifting weights and working out is actually a great example because there's so much that goes through your head while you're working out, and you still just do it. Like that shit is a habit of practice. So it's like you saying you overthink and you have a fear of this, and I can't live in the moment. Nigga, everybody thinks. The reason you fucking can't because you don't know how to act when you're thinking. Go practice other shit. Go work out. Start blanking out. Do the blackout method, I call it. You see a woman you want to talk to, you see a situation, opportunity you want to take advantage of, you black out. You go into it knowing you don't know what to say, knowing you're unprepared, and knowing you don't know what's going to happen, and you just black out. And you know, however you imagine that as a black screen in your head, whatever you think of and trigger, that's it. Yeah, I'm ending it right there. That was the last thing I was going to acknowledge. You know. But chat, W stream. We read during the stream. Introducing y'all one of my favorite books, man. Or some of y'all have already read it and ordered it. If y'all been fucking with me for a while. You know, I don't know if this is my second time, but third time reading this book, but it's definitely one of my favorite joints. Appreciate everybody being here. Shout out to the chat, man. Dojo to the moon to Saturn, and we leaving the solar system lit, so you know we exist. Yeah. D.